Doctor Who himself, Peter Capaldi, on the new season of Britain's beloved sci-fi show.
The thing about the show, which is important, is you don't have to know any of this stuff, because basically every episode is episode one. All that happens is this guy shows up in a new place and an adventure begins. That's all you need to know.
On his days in the 1980s British punk rock band.
We had the worst band name ever. It was called the Dream Boys. This was in the days before Chippendales or anything like that. But we didn't think
Dream Boys?
Yeah, I can't even listen to it because it's so awful.
Plus,
with the new government, we have the organisation that makes our show, the BBC, which is one of the great organisations of the world, the most special organisations. I think it's under threat.
It's all next on Larry King Now. For over 5 decades, BBC's science fiction mainstay Doctor Who has been captivating audiences young and old with tales of a space and time-traveling humanoid alien. And while the hit series is over 50 years old, Doctor Who has never been bigger in the United States till now. Oscar and award-winning actor Peter Capaldi is the 12th and current actor to embody the world's famous Time Lord. His second season as the Doctor begins September 19th, when Doctor Who returns on BBC America. Now, Americans who are not familiar, explain what this is. Who is Doctor Who?
Well, nobody knows who Doctor Who is. That's the whole point of it. He's a mysterious alien who has a machine that flies through time and space and takes him to various corners of the galaxy and the cosmos, where he inevitably ends up falling into an adventure where he has to face some terrible monsters or defeat some mastermind who wants to take over the universe. But he remains a kind of sort of...
Cult?
He's quite cultish, but he doesn't have, it's not like, say, like in Star Trek, where you have like a whole battleship in space and you have all of the military with you. He's just the guy. He's just a guy wandering through time and space and stumbling into adventures. But the thing about the show, which is important, is you don't have to know any of this stuff, because basically every episode is episode one. All that happens is this guy shows up in a new place and an adventure begins. That's all you need to know.
Why did you take this role?
It's, apart from the fact that it's in the UK, an iconic and famous role. When I was a little kid, my favourite show was Doctor Who. And I used to write to the actor who played Doctor Who. And he changed a few times when I was young, but they would send me back autographed pictures.
Really?
And I thought the show was the most amazing thing. And one day I got a package through the mail, and it was a script. Can you imagine anyone doing this? No, this would never happen. A producer of Doctor Who sent me a script for a forthcoming episode, and I had never seen a script. I didn't know there was such a thing as a script, that a TV show was generated from this material. And for me, it became one of the things that made me want to become an actor and become part of this world, because suddenly someone was showing me how it was made. So for me to find myself being offered this role that was key in bringing me into the business in the first place was just a remarkable situation. It was like serendipity. It was like fate, So I had to do it.
And you just went to Comic-Con, huh, in San Diego?
We had Comic-Con, which was a new experience.
Yeah, I went there a couple of years ago. Did you like the insanity of it all?
I did, because I thought it was very good-hearted. It was a good thing. It's a good thing in the world, It's like a carnival, and you look out the window and you see a little person dressed as Yoda or a little person dressed as Luke Skywalker.
Your panel had 7,000 fans, right?
7,000 people, yeah, all Americans, which was a great and wonderful surprise. And they greeted us very warmly, and we had a good time with them.
You meet other stars too, all the crazy people walking around?
Well, the weird thing was the security, I arrived there, and for 2 days I was locked in a hotel room doing press, and the security people sort of didn't want me to go outside, and I said, come on guys, give me a break. This is like the only place in the world where, for sure, I'm going to get recognized and have a good time. And they said, okay, so they took me outside, and no one recognized me. We wandered around for 20 minutes, one little kid came up, and I thought, oh man, this is really disappointing. But then we turned around a corner, and suddenly there was a line there at the convention centre, and they were all queuing up to go and see us the next day. And they were wonderful. I mean, it was just great to meet such warm people.
Now, I understand there's some controversy over the longtime villain who is now a villainess.
Yeah.
What is that all about?
Well, what that's about is the race that the Doctor comes from, who are called the Time Lords. This is why you can have 12 actors playing this role. It's because when he reaches a certain age, he's able to change. He's able to, if he gets hurt, he can regenerate all of his molecules and come out as another person. Which is why when an actor gets too old, you know, every TV show should adopt this. You know, when the leading actor gets too old, or is it an accident or something, they can just change him.
There have been different writers over the years?
Oh, yeah, many different writers. But the controversy about his arch enemy is called the Master, and was always previously a man, and regenerated into different forms. But this time around, regenerated into a lady.
She travels with him, or?
No. She just occasionally confronts him.
Let's watch a trailer for the new season that premiered, by the way, at Comic-Con of Doctor Who. Watch.
Every time I think it can get more extraordinary, it surprises me. It's impossible. I hate it. It's evil. It's astonishing. I want to kiss it to death. I'm the Doctor, and I save people.
What took you so long, old man?
That's Maisie Williams from Game of Thrones. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yeah, I watch it.
Well, Maisie joins us for some episodes.
When we return, I'll ask Peter about his punk rock days with Craig Ferguson. You will not want to miss this. Stay with us. We're back with Peter Capaldi. He is Doctor Who. The new season starts September 19th on BBC America. That young lady at the end of that last clip from Game of Thrones, how did she come to it, and how do you like working with her?
That young lady is a very special lady. She's called Maisie Williams, who's in Game of Thrones, which is one of the shows that I'm a great fan of. I have to be very secretive about what she actually does in our show, but she's a young lady who's been in Game of Thrones, which is the biggest show probably that there is around at the moment. She's been in that show since she was 12. And she turned 18 on our show. And the amazing thing about her is she's totally unspoilt. You know, she's been working on this big other show for a long time, but she is technically so assured that it's frightening. You know, because the first day I was working with her, I was standing talking to her, and the cameras turned over, and she went like that and just pushed me out of the way. I said, "What you doing?" She said, "You're in my light." And she is just so totally, you know, has a full understanding of how you film things because she's been working on the other show since she was a little kid. But unspoilt, a great character, really, really fun.
And that was okay for her to do both shows?
Yeah, she did our show in her hiatus from the other one. But she's back on the other one now. Amazing.
What punk rock band were you in with Craig Ferguson, my old friend Craig Ferguson?
Yeah. Well, Craig and I were in a band, I don't think I can say the original name because it was so rude. Mm-hmm. But Craig showed up one day. We had the worst band name ever. It was called the Dream Boys. This was in the days before Chippendales or anything like that. But we didn't think
Dream Boys?
Yeah, I can't even listen to it because it's so awful. But we thought we were sort of nightmarish and all of that stuff. But anyway, Craig came to be our drummer. He was like 18 years old. and he lived. We were in Glasgow, which is a kind of a big industrial town in Scotland, and he lived in a satellite town. He used to work in a post office. Can you believe this? He joined a punk band, and we would be out all night.
Was he drinking then?
Yes, that's safe to say.
He talked about that.
Yeah, well, we all were. We were all young and we were having great fun. But I used to laugh because he used to have to get back to the post office every morning, be behind the counter at the post office.
Was that the age of the Stones and Duran Duran?
No, that was post that. This was more like the Sex Pistols and that kind of thing.
What was he like then, Craig?
He was funny. I mean, that was the thing that really struck me about Craig right from the start. I always said to him when he sort of became a comic, I said, you're a natural. Some people become comics, they learn how to be a comic, they get gag writers or they put an act together and stuff like that. But he would make me laugh just in the room. Just stuff that we would go through and things that would happen. And he was an absolute natural.
Ah, yeah.
And so
great guy, too.
Yeah. So it was so right for him to do.
Do you still play music?
I play guitar a little bit, but one of the things about being in a punk band, what it taught me was that I wasn't musical. But the whole ethos of the time was just go and have a go, try, just get out there and have fun.
How are things in Great Britain?
Things are fine. I mean, I think with the new government we have, the organisation that makes our show, the BBC, which is one of the great organisations of the world, the most special organisations, I think it's under threat. I think it's seriously under threat.
From?
I think from the government.
Funding?
Yeah, and for its very existence. And I think it's...
Why?
Because I think the government doesn't think that the BBC supports it. So I think it's would like to...
You mean because it does programs that attack the government?
Because, yeah.
Sort of like PBS has been accused of in America.
I think because it is not answerable to shareholders and it entertains ideas, all kinds of ideas about Britain and about history and about the world and about art that I think the government would rather not, they don't want to pay for it. And I think it's so important. I'm glad you asked me that question because I think it's one of the most important things that is happening in the country. And the BBC represents the spirit of our country.
Is the citizens aware of this?
They should be aware of it. And that's, why I'm saying this to you, because it is so important that people don't let this magnificent thing vanish.
It could vanish?
I think it is that dangerous, yeah.
You played Malcolm Tucker in the BBC series The Thick of It, right?
Yeah.
Now that made fun of the government, didn't it?
Yeah. That's what we're allowed to do. It's a BBC programme. We're allowed to do that. We're allowed to make fun of the government. We're allowed to really give the government a hard time. That's
the BBC allows a lot of curse words, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and that was...
You have a favourite curse word? You can say it here.
I think, that character was full of cuss words, but my current character of Doctor Who does not cuss, so I would
so you
prefer
won't
not
cuss.
to. Yeah.
Do you get involved in politics yourself?
I vote and take a healthy interest, yeah.
What do you think of Mr. Cameron?
I think he's very professional.
You're being kind here.
Yeah, I think he's a very skilled and professional politician.
Why do you think Britain spends so much time talking about American politics and we spend very little time talking about British politics?
Well, you'd have to answer that question. I don't know. I don't know why you spend so little time talking about British politics. I mean, we spend time talking about American politics because it affects us, in the rest of the world, and also because it's interesting. There are a lot of great characters.
And Britain doesn't have great characters?
I think they do. I think
we couldn't name 5 politicians in Britain.
Yeah, but that's a question for you guys, not for me. Yeah.
It's a good question. I don't have the answer. Coming up, what place in the world would Peter time travel to if he were able? We'll play a little game of If You Only Knew. Peter Capaldi, he stars in Doctor Who. The new season, September 19th on BBC America. We'll be right back. We're back with Peter Capaldi. He is Doctor Who. He's what in the line of Doctor Who's? What number are you?
12.
The 12th
Yeah.
Doctor Who.
Yeah.
I've interviewed many, many British actors. I have a great fondness. There is a British school of theatre, isn't it? Very different from the American school.
I think so, yeah. I think it seems to be more text-driven. I guess it comes from a sort of Shakespearean tradition and all that. But I have to say that that's not really where I come from. You know, I really come from more of the, you know Craig. So we come from a more improvised, if you like, rock kind of comic art sort of background, as opposed to the more schooled, you know, Royal Academy of Dramatic Art sort of actors. You know, I think I've just sort of found my way through it all and found myself becoming an actor as opposed to setting off specifically with that ambition.
Because Dustin Hoffman, who did Marathon Man with Olivier,
Yeah.
and Dustin, of course, is kind of a method.
Yeah.
And Olivier did a scene where he's this Nazi trying to sell diamonds in the Diamond Center in New York.
That's right.
And he's walking down the street, fearful that someone's going to spot him.
Yeah.
But at the same time loathing the Jews on the street, primarily Jews.
Yeah.
So Dustin Hoffman told me he went over to Olivier and he said, "How did you do that scene? Your eyes were darting fear and loathing at the same time."
Yeah.
And he said, "It's called acting."
It's a great scene, that. It's a wonderful movie. Yeah.
Oh. Let's play a quick game of You Only Knew, Peter.
Oh, God. Oh, okay.
Remember the first girl you kissed?
Yeah.
What was her name?
Elaine.
Was this in London?
It was in Scotland.
Oh, are you Scottish?
Yeah.
You ever know what happened to Elaine?
I married her.
You're kidding.
And I'm not kidding, no.
You married the first girl you kissed?
Yeah.
How old were you when you kissed her?
Well, perhaps I'm missing out some teenage kisses in there, but 23.
So you were very serious with her quickly.
Yeah. No, we were not serious. We had a lot of fun.
Oh.
That's why we got married. Because then we still have so much fun. She's here with me today. It's great.
If you weren't an actor, what do you think you'd be?
A painter or a musician.
Biggest misconception about the UK?
That the Scottish people are mean.
What's an era in time you'd like to travel back to?
New York in the 20s.
Historical figure you'd like to play?
To play. Oh. To play. I don't know.
I tell you what I could see you in.
What?
A Man for All Seasons.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, that's a great role. Thomas More, yeah.
Guilty pleasure?
B-movies.
Me too. Black and white, old.
Yeah.
Musical artists we'd find on your iPod?
The Killers, David Bowie, Roy Orbison, Frank Sinatra.
Me too.
Yeah.
Your favorite American city?
New York.
Biggest fear?
That something would happen to my loved ones.
Something that makes you laugh?
My wife and my daughter.
An actor or actress you'd really like to work with?
Robert Duvall.
Why? He was just here.
Was he really?
Here 2 weeks ago.
Because the first time I saw him, I'd never seen such realism. I sort of almost thought he wasn't an actor. I thought he was just so natural. And because he wasn't a sort of, leading man guy, he wasn't, there are other actors who are equally, but there are other actors who are equally as natural, but because they're leading men, they automatically have a sense of theatricality about them because they're the top guy or whatever. He was just like, you'd see him and you'd go, that's just a guy. In Apocalypse Now, you think that's a real guy. That's not an actor.
I love the smell of napalm. And
or in The Godfather. He just looks like a real human being who's stumbled in front of the camera. What a gift to do that.
He'd appreciate that a great deal.
He's amazing.
What's a hidden talent you have?
I can draw.
You can what?
I can draw.
Oh, you good?
I'm okay, yeah. I like doing it.
What's your most cherished memory?
Getting married.
You really love this girl.
I do, yeah.
What's your favorite part about being Doctor Who?
I love flying my time machine into adventure.
Coming up, we will wrap things up with some fan questions for Peter from social media. Don't go away. We're back with Peter Capaldi. He is Doctor Who. The new season starts September 19th on BBC America. Aside from Doctor Who else are you going to be playing? Any new things coming up?
I don't have time to do anything else. Doctor Who takes up the whole year, yeah.
What's your favorite part you've ever played?
Doctor Who.
Okay, we have some, boy, you're really into this. We have some fan questions from social media. Cedric Thaws, I love that name.
It's a great name.
Cedric Thaws on Facebook. If you could choose to have either a TARDIS or a sonic screwdriver in real life, which would you choose?
A TARDIS, Cedric.
What is a TARDIS?
What is a TARDIS? A TARDIS is a time and space machine that you step. It's the Doctor's time and space machine. It goes anywhere in time and space. We could take you anywhere you wanted to go.
And what is a sonic screwdriver?
A sonic screwdriver is a tool. It's a screwdriver which has a sonic element to it which can open up doors and get you out of tight corners. And it's a little bit of a ray gun sort of thing, you know.
Isabel Hernandez on Larry King Now blog. What has been the most difficult part about your rise in the industry?
I think the most difficult part is just hanging on in there. You know, it's great, you know, we come on shows like this when things are going well, but nobody does a show when they interview actors for whom it's not going so well. And then for most actors, that's, you know, that happens. So I've had my ups and my downs, and so keeping the sort of dream alive when there's no Larry King show or no Doctor Who, that's the tougher thing. And also when you've got a family too, and you have to pay the mortgage. You know?
Even all the famous actors that I've known, Henry Fonda told me, when an actor doesn't see a script, he's nervous.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, have they forgotten me?
Yeah, and sometimes they do.
El Coco 37 on Twitter. What's the most challenging part of your day?
The most challenging part of the day is lunch, because we get half an hour for lunch.
That's all?
We get half an hour for lunch, and I have to think, do I have a nap or do I eat?
At Creative Cat FX on the LKN blog, we recently saw you play guitar in a shop. It was beautiful. Will we see Doctor Who express himself musically in this season?
Yeah, you'll see it. Yeah, I think if you saw that trailer there, you saw him with a guitar. He's never played a guitar before, but he's going to have one this season. Ellen's
Crespo, if you had a TARDIS, would you go to the past or the future?
I would go to the past.
At Coco Melt on LKN, it is known fact that Peter is a lifelong fan of the Doctor Who series. Now that he's the Doctor and has the first season behind him, is there anything he dislikes about being the Doctor, and is there a dark side to fulfilling his ultimate dream?
The only thing I dislike about it is that I'm old enough to know that it must end one day.
Well, it'll end for you, but it'll never end, right?
It'll never end, the show, but I will no longer be.
All right. How do you explain its longevity?
I don't really know what it is that attracts people to it. To me, personally, it's because at its heart, it has a sort of a melancholy. Just that sounds awful. That's people, marketing people never want me to say that there's a melancholic quality to the show. But to me, it's a show that can ask big philosophical questions and also have guys in rubber monster suits.
Star Trek did that.
Not in the same way. Not in the same quiet, intimate way. You know, the Doctor Who is a very, very personal program. This is about an individual creature who has decisions to make about morality. And I think people connect to him in a very intimate way.
Taylor Venture from Twitter, what is his favorite year?
The Doctor's favorite year? 1963.
Because?
That's when the show was born.
Ruth from the LKN blog, it's super cool that you sometimes draw pictures for your fans. Does your artistic ability, drawing and photography, influence your performance as an actor?
Well, I think it's all from the same seam. You know, I think I used to always get really freaked out because I didn't go to drama college, so no one sat me down and said, here's a script, this is how you work out what you're going to do. No one ever taught me how to do it. So I would have to pick it up on the job and listen to other actors and hear what they had to say. And I always felt uptight about the fact that I didn't have that training. But I knew I could draw, and I knew I could look at pictures and sort of have a relationship with them. And I knew that I was feeling an emotion. So I saw another actor who one day came into work and they had artists' pictures all over their script. And I said, what are you doing? And they said, well, I have an emotional response to all of these artists' pictures, so I'm putting them in my script where there's an emotional bit in the script. So I suddenly thought, oh, I can do that. I can do that big time, because I've spent my life relating to pictures. I've forgotten the question. That was a great, long, drawn-out answer.
No, do you ever use that? You ever answered the question?
Yeah, I do.
Use it.
I do, yeah.
One other thing, only one Valerie on Facebook. For how long you want to play the Doctor?
For as long as they'll have me, really.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.
Great meeting you.
And you too. Thank you.
I want to thank my guest, Peter Capaldi. The new season of Doctor Who is coming soon on the BBC. Remember, it's, I think, September 19th.
That's right.
On BBC America. And remember, you can find me on Twitter at King's Things, and I'll see you next time.